Now, not too long ago, Darnell Richmond was in the absolute trenches. He had faced 9 million different injuries, but he was able to battle all the way back and get himself back up to a 99 overall after being demoted to a 0 overall. Now, unfortunately, Ricky LaFleur is facing the exact same thing. He has suffered a string of career-ending injuries, dropping him all the way to a 0 overall. He has a 36 in every attribute category. He is not the player he used to be in the past. However, we will rebuild Ricky LaFleur. We will get him back to his previous greatness, and we will make him a 99 overall again. And how are we going to do that? Well, through every save Ricky LaFleur makes, that's going to be one upgrade. Before Ricky LaFleur starts making any saves though, we do have to figure out which team he's going to be joining, and normally we would use a wheel to figure out where Ricky LaFleur is going to be going, but there's actually one specific team I wanted to start on, and no, it isn't the St. Louis Blues. Now, when it came to the beginning of Ricky LaFleur's career, there was a handful of different teams I could have gone with, but I feel like the Edmonton Oilers just make the most sense. Like Ricky LaFleur, he's a high franchise potential goaltender. We have seen what he's been able to do in the past when he's 100% healthy. So the Edmonton Oilers are willing to take that risk, even though he has suffered 18 different career-ending injuries. I'm talking torn ACLs, MCLs, PCLs. He tore both of his Achilles. He has 2 different high ankle sprains. He sprained both of his thumbs, even his pinky finger. But worst overall, he has suffered 6 different paper cuts. Nah, bro's really down bad right now, but he's going to rebound. He's going to start on the Edmonton Oilers, and we are going to turn Ricky LaFleur back into an elite goaltender. So I think I've done enough yapping. Let's simulate season number 1 and see what Ricky LaFleur is going to be capable of doing. Now, to wrap up season number 1, in the resurrection of Ricky LaFleur's career, what if I told you the Oilers were the worst team in the entire league, only winning 15 games this season? Now you might be wondering, how on earth did the Edmonton Oilers only win 15 games? Like Leon Draisaitl had 118 points, Connor McDavid had 111, and Zach Hyman had 86. Well, what I did was I made Ricky LaFleur play all 82 games. The only game Stuart Skinner was jumping into was the games in which Ricky LaFleur was pulled. So Stuart Skinner, he's going to play 31 games this season, but Ricky LaFleur, he's going to play in all 82. 11 wins, 61 losses, 4 OT losses. He posted a 780 with a 689, and then on top of that, he's making 1,579 saves. Now you might be thinking, if every save that Ricky LaFleur records is going to be one upgrade, that's a lot of upgrades right there. Well, it's not going to be quite one save per upgrade, but instead every 200 saves is going to be one upgrade. So that means through Ricky LaFleur's saves this season, he's going to be bringing in 7 upgrades. But of course, like always, there's other ways that Ricky LaFleur can receive some attribute upgrades. One of those being wins. Ricky LaFleur is going to receive 1 attribute per win, so that means he's going to acquire 11 additional attribute upgrades. On top of that, shutouts are also going to be additional upgrades for Ricky LaFleur. For every shutout he records, that's going to be an additional 5 upgrade points. Now, outside these 3 things, there's only 2 more key things that can allow Ricky LaFleur to get attribute upgrades. However, these ones are definitely less likely. I guess I really shouldn't say less likely, because Ricky LaFleur is going to be picking up 3 assists, and each assist is going to be worth 2 upgrade points. So that means from the 3 assists that he recorded this season, that's going to be an additional 6 upgrade points. And then when it comes to goals, if Ricky LaFleur scores a goal, I'm allowed to max out 1 attribute. Like, I am that convinced that it's going to be so unlikely that he scores a goal. If he is able to score a goal, we're maxing out an attribute. So after totaling all of Ricky LaFleur's attribute upgrades for season number 1, he's going to be walking away with 24. Those are definitely going to be some helpful upgrades, but I don't really know how much of a difference it's going to be making next season. Also, in case you're wondering, the Florida Panthers are Stanley Cup champions, and they're going to take down a different Alberta team this time. Yep, you heard that right. The 2025-2026 Calgary Flames made to the Stanley Cup final, because that makes so much sense. Now, when it comes to the upgrades that Ricky LaFleur can receive, there's obviously only one thing we can go with: stick high. We need to upgrade his stick high. We're getting that up to a 60. One thing you have to know about Ricky LaFleur is he might be a 0 overall, but that stick side, he's lethal. Also, we have been informed by the Edmonton Oilers organization that Ricky LaFleur has been banned from entering the facilities. So yeah, we got to move to a different team. So it's finally time for us to spin a wheel. It has every NHL team not named the Edmonton Oilers on it, and it looks like we're going to be taking our towns to the Winnipeg Jets. Connor Halbuck, get ready to ride the pine. Ricky LaFleur's taking over. So Ricky LaFleur, welcome to the Winnipeg Jets. Kyle Connor's going to be your backup this season. So Winnipeg's going to have themselves a really good goaltending tandem. Ricky LaFleur, with his 60 rated, stick high, and then 94 overall Connor Hellebuyck backing him up. With this goaltending tandem right here, I think we're looking at least 83 wins. And yes, you heard me right. We're winning 83 games this season. That's how confident I am in this team. Now, would you be surprised if I told you we're actually not going to be winning 83 games this season, but instead we had an 11-67-4 record? Nobody is surprised at that. However, there is one thing you will definitely be surprised at. Now, Ricky LaFleur, you were okay this season for a 0 overall goaltender. How on earth did you record a shutout? That makes no sense. In no universe should Ricky LaFleur be receiving shutouts. At the end of the day, Ricky LaFleur is going to walk away with 23 attribute upgrades. He's going to get 8 from saves this season, 5 from his 1 shutout, and then 10 from his wins. But we need to know which team we shut out. There is no way the Winnipeg Jets should shut out anyone. Now, while I tried to prep myself for the disappointment and the fact that St. Louis was probably the team that got shut out, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're still watching the video right now, you're likely enjoying the content, so make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. We're trying to hit 90k subs by the end of the month. Now, when it comes to the team we shut out, I guess it was pretty late in the year and I just completely overlooked who we beat, but it was the New York Rangers who we took down in a shutout. We shut out the New York Rangers. We had a 0 overall between the pipes, and you still couldn't score on them. Now, Ricky LaFleur's blocker side must have been going crazy. Now, the 23 upgrade points for Ricky LaFleur are definitely going to help a ton. We're putting them all on his stick high, of course. We're getting that up to an 83. We have to make sure that his stick side is the very first thing we upgrade. Now, even after upgrading his stick high and after shutting out the New York Rangers, the Winnipeg Jets don't want to bring Ricky LaFleur back to the team, but that's perfectly fine. We're okay with heading a different direction. Like, Ricky LaFleur enjoyed his time in Winnipeg. He has nothing bad to say about the city. He had a great time. It looks like he's going to be staying in the Central Division though, but he's going to be moving a little bit south. He's actually moving pretty far south. He's going to be joining the Nashville Predators. Now, Ricky LaFleur, even though your stick high is looking pretty solid heading into this season, we do have to remember who's in front of you. The Nashville Predators, currently the worst team in the NHL, which is a little bit surprising considering how Calgary started and how the St. Louis Blues started. Somehow, y'all are now worse than both of those teams. I don't really know how to describe it, but yeah, you're in the absolute trenches. So with all that being said, Ricky LaFleur, I don't expect anything crazy from you this season. Now, Ricky LaFleur, I have some bad news for you, but it's not really that bad of news because I think we all expected this. You better get comfortable at the bottom of the league, because as long as you're the starting goaltender as a 0 overall, you're not going to be seeing any postseason action. You're not going to be seeing any success. We're going to be chilling at the bottom of the league for a long time. 16 wins this season. Unfortunately though, Ricky LaFleur isn't actually going to be picking up 16 wins, because there was actually a handful of games in which Ricky LaFleur got pulled that we still ended up winning. Like, UC Soros finished with 4 wins this season, so that means Ricky LaFleur is only walking away with 12 wins, 1 shutout, 1,750 saves, but on top of that, he's also picking up 3 assists in the process. So Ricky LaFleur is going to be receiving 31 attribute upgrades. We're going to be able to max out his stick high, and then right after we do that, we're working on his stick low. Shout out to the Dallas Stars, they're Stanley Cup champions. That's a team I wouldn't mind if Ricky LaFleur joined. So like I mentioned, Ricky LaFleur, we're maxing out your stick high. We're going to spend 16 attributes on that. With the remaining 15 upgrades, we're going to be putting that on your stick low. And by doing that, we're going to be able to get this attribute up to a 51. So not only do you have an elite stick high, but your stick low slowly improving. I mean, granted, everything else is a 0 overall right now, so yeah, you're still not a good goaltender, but the stick high and stick low, it's starting to turn into something. So before we move on to our next season, we do have to switch teams once again. It looks like we're going to be joining the Detroit Red Wings this time. Even though the Red Wings are in a better position than the Nashville Predators, you guys are now going to be moving forward with the 0 overall goaltender. So yeah, all that success you've seen in the past, forget about it. You're going to be one of the worst teams. Now, Ricky LaFleur, I am expecting you to be better this season. Like, we have to remember, you have a 99 in one of your attributes. Now, you have a 99 stick high, you have a 51 stick low, and then we'll pretend everything else doesn't exist. So expectations are through the roof for you this season. But what am I really talking about? We're going to lose a majority of our games. Ricky LaFleur, I'll take 15 wins if you can somehow do that for us. Now, it's another season at the bottom of the league for Ricky LaFleur, a 15-63-4 record. But this is what everyone was expecting. Nobody expected Ricky LaFleur to single-handedly save the Detroit Red Wings. Like, at the end of the day, he's still a 0 overall. He did have 13 wins this season, so that is an improvement from last season. He also finished with more saves. However, that's not going to result in any more upgrades. He's still only going to be receiving 8 from that, but he did pick up an additional assist this season. So after this season, Ricky LaFleur is going to be walking away with 27 attribute upgrades. Not quite as many as last season, but still, 27 is going to be helping a ton. I'm also thinking of lowering the save requirement. Instead of every 200 saves he receives 1 upgrade, it's every 100 saves. Because if I do that, Ricky LaFleur will be able to gain some more attributes, because at this point we're only going to be looking at 20 or 30 a season. I think we have to up that a little bit. So moving forward, every 100 saves is going to be one upgrade for Ricky LaFleur. Now on top of changing the upgrade requirements for saves, I think we're also going to do that with shutouts as well, because Ricky LaFleur right now, he's not really receiving that many shutouts. Like, we're lucky if this man picks up one in a season. So shutouts are also going to be jumping from 5 to 10 attribute upgrades. So moving forward, every 100 saves is an attribute upgrade, wins are still worth 1, shutouts are worth 10, and then assists are going to be staying the exact same. So now that we understand all of this, we have to go find Ricky LaFleur's next team, because yeah, Detroit's kicking him off the team. They don't ever want to see Ricky LaFleur wear their jersey again, and honestly, I think that's a little bit disrespectful. Put some respect on the GOAT. Now with the upgrade requirements changing, Ricky LaFleur, you're going to be receiving a lot more upgrades a lot quicker now. As of right now, you still only have 199 overall attribute, but that's going to start changing. I think moving forward, we're going to be adding 40 to 50 attributes a season. That's going to help us max out things a lot better, and that's going to allow Ricky LaFleur to reach a 99 overall quicker. Because as we all know, Ricky LaFleur has to get back to a 99 overall. He has to get back to his prime self. On top of LaFleur getting back to his prime self though, I wouldn't be against winning a Stanley Cup or two. That's the side goal for this video. However, I think the main problem with that is unless Ricky LaFleur is a 99 overall and on a good team, it's going to be really difficult for him to win a Stanley Cup. Like, we might get to the final season where he's a 99 overall and he might get stuck on the St. Louis Blues. And respectfully, no 99 overall is going to save that team by themselves. I mean, I guess they do have Robert Thomas at their side, but that wouldn't be enough. Okay, I think it's kind of crazy that I was talking about Ricky LaFleur eventually winning a Stanley Cup, and then we proceeded to win 9 games this season. Yeah, that's not happening. Ricky LaFleur, the odds of you winning a Stanley Cup in this video are so incredibly low, it's actually a little bit ridiculous. 9 wins, 1 shutout, and 827 and a 572. You made 1,800 saves though, so that's going to be 18 upgrades, but unfortunately you didn't pick up any assists this season. But through all of these statistics right here, including that 1 shutout, you're going to be walking away with 37 attribute upgrades, and I think that's the most you've seen so far. Meanwhile, the Buffalo Sabres are Stanley Cup champions. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Also, why do the Calgary Flames do so well in season simulations? Like, Calgary's currently one of the worst teams in the entire league, right alongside my St. Louis Blues. But this team makes the conference finals way too often in this game. I don't know what it is, but I'm not going to question it. Shout out to the Calgary Flames, I guess. So, Ricky LaFleur, you now have the best stick side in the league. Your stick low is a 99, your stick high is a 99. You're perfect when it comes to that. The next attribute we're going to start working on is going to be his glove high, and the reason for that, Ricky has made some big time saves with his glove. And I'm talking about his save he made against Donnie in the Ball Hockey Championship. When Ricky's team needed him most, he came up with the big glove save. He was able to stop Donnie, and he led his boys to a Ball Hockey Championship. It was an iconic moment in sports. But we can't focus about that great sporting moment. We have to move on. And Ricky LaFleur, he told the Pittsburgh Penguins he's done with that organization. Normally the teams are telling Ricky they don't want him anymore. It's the other way around this time. Ricky's never going to play another game for Pittsburgh after that disaster. Instead, he's going to be taking his talents to the Ottawa Senators. Now, Ricky LaFleur, you're certainly not a superstar. However, you can say one thing. You have the best stick side in the league. 99 in both of those categories. Linus Ullmark, he only has a 95 stick high and a 90 stick low. He can't even compete with you when it comes to that. When it comes to every other attribute though, he does clear you in that, but you can say you have a better stick side than Linus Ullmark. We gotta take the little victories around here. Now last season, it was really the Pittsburgh Penguins that were holding Ricky LaFleur back, because this season, a 20-57-5 record, he was absolutely locked in. And all 20 of those wins, well, they're all going to be won by Ricky LaFleur. 20 victories this season, 1 shutout, 2,100 saves. Unfortunately, no assists this season. He's not picked up any goals either. But still, this is going to lead to 51 attribute upgrades. The best season yet from Ricky LaFleur. They got to start putting a little bit of respect on my man's name. 51 upgrades is huge. We're going to be able to max out his glove high, and then we'll start working on his glove low. He's going to have one of the best stick sides in the game. He's going to have one of the best blocker sides in the game. Everything else, though, still not elite by any means. So Ricky LaFleur, you already know what we're going to be upgrading. Glove high, we're going to get that up to a 99. We're going to be left with 4 remaining attribute upgrades. And with those 4, how about we get glove low to a 40? So a 99 in glove high, a 99 in stick low, a 99 in stick high. He might still have a lot of 0 overalls when it comes to a lot of his attributes, but we're focused on the most important ones right now. And so far, I think we've done a good job of focusing on the important ones. Now, though Ricky LaFleur saw a lot of success with the Ottawa Senators, he's going to take his talents elsewhere. He's actually going to take it to another Canadian team and join the Toronto Maple Leafs. Maybe Ricky LaFleur can be this team's savior. I highly doubt it, but you never know. Now, Ricky LaFleur, this might be your toughest test. Tougher than when you were on the Nashville Predators, and even tougher than when you were on the Pittsburgh Penguins. You are now on the Toronto Maple Leafs. The culture on this team is going to try to make you fail, but you're not going to do that. You're going to rise above and win a handful of games this season. You're not going to win them a Stanley Cup, like you can't do the impossible. However, 20 wins, it might be possible once again. Now, I was hoping that Ricky LaFleur would be able to build off his momentum from last season, and I was thinking with him joining the Toronto Maple Leafs, they would see a bit more success. Only 19 wins this season. Ricky LaFleur was only able to walk away with 19 wins, but he's actually not walking away with 19 because he didn't win all of our games this season. He's only going to be winning 18 games this season. He's not picking up any shutouts, 2,100 saves, so that's going to be 21 upgrades. And then when it comes to assists, he's going to be receiving another 6 upgrades there. So that means after this season, 45 attribute upgrades for Ricky LaFleur, but that's not going to be saving this man. I think realistically, the only thing that can save Ricky LaFleur moving forward is a couple adjustments to the rules. We are changing the rules on the fly here because truthfully, I had no clue how to do a video like this. I didn't really know what the best upgrade system would be, but I think I finally figured it out. Moving forward after this season, so not counting this one, wins are now worth 2. Shutouts are staying the same. Saves are going to stay the same. Goals and assists are staying the same. However, OT losses are now going to be worth 1. So wins are worth 2, OT losses are worth 1. Basically how they do it in the standings. And truthfully, it would have made way more sense if I just did it that way. Wins are worth 2, OT losses are worth 1. Should have I started with these rules at the beginning of the video? Absolutely. But you know what? Sometimes you got to adjust things on the fly. The Florida Panthers are Stanley Cup champions. Ricky LaFleur, I hope you can win one of those one of these days. So with the 45 upgrade points that we received from last season, we're going to spend all of that on glove low. We're going to get that up to an 85. Ricky LaFleur, moving forward, you now have the best glove and stick side in the NHL if we go by averages. Yes, your glove low isn't perfect quite yet, but it will be after this season. So Ricky LaFleur is seeing more progression. He's winning more games. We've changed the rules a little bit. Moving forward, I think everything should be set in stone. But I guess we'll find out after this season with the Seattle Kraken. Now, Ricky LaFleur, it's time for you to leave the Atlantic Division. You're going to be rejoining the Pacific Division, this time with the Seattle Kraken. Your stats are looking a lot better than the last time you were in the Pacific Division, so I'm expecting much better results from you. Now, you remember how at the end of last season, I was talking about how we were going to have to change some of the rules in order for us to get some more attribute upgrades. We might not have to worry about that. A 36, 38, and 8 record. What happened this season? Why on earth were we winning this many games? It doesn't make sense. Ricky LaFleur, what were you up to? 36 wins, 1 shutout at 895 and a 357. How did this happen? Like out of absolutely nowhere, Ricky LaFleur is just winning games this season. He's picking up another 9 attributes because of the 3 assists he had. So that means Ricky LaFleur is walking away with 79 attribute upgrades this season. Yeah, so we're going to hold off on those new attribute changes I was talking about because Ricky LaFleur might have something going here. Maybe with him almost maxing out his glove side, he's going to start winning a ton more games. Maybe a lot of the other attributes are just kind of nonsense. Maybe Ricky LaFleur is slowly turning into one of the best goaltenders in the league and I didn't even realize it. The Montreal Canadiens are Stanley Cup champions, but Seattle, what did you do to my man? Now, Ricky LaFleur, these are going to be the best attribute upgrades you've seen so far. Glove low, we're maxing it out. It's up to a 99. His 5-hole, we're going to max that out as well. And then after we max this out, we're going to be left with 2 attribute upgrades. But on top of that, look at Ricky LaFleur's overall climb. He's up to a 45 overall now. And then with those final 2 upgrades, I guess we could put it on speed. I don't really know if that makes much of a difference. Speed or agility, I guess there is endurance, poke check. No, we're going to focus on speed. With those 2 upgrades, he's up to a 46 overall. The dominance of Ricky LaFleur is about to begin. Now, like real talk, I thought we were a long ways away from Ricky LaFleur completely taking over the NHL. I might have been wrong. He might be doing it this season with Colorado. Now, after the success we saw last season, I think Ricky LaFleur might see some postseason action. Now, we do have to remember a majority of the upgrades that we've done so far are actually key upgrades. His stick high and stick low is a 99. His glove high and his glove low is a 99. And his 5-hole is a 99. When it comes to a lot of his other attributes, I don't know how much those are going to impact the simulation. Like in theory, his passing shouldn't affect him stopping the puck. His poke check will slightly affect him stopping the puck, but his puck playing frequency, his aggressiveness, his durability, his endurance, a lot of those things probably aren't impacting the simulation too much. So with all that being said, we could see a historic season from Ricky LaFleur, or I'm just completely yapping and we're going to miss the playoffs once again. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I thought we were a long ways away from the playoffs not too long ago, but Ricky LaFleur is him. A 45-30-7 record, we've made the playoffs. The Colorado Avalanche just made the playoffs with a goaltender who is below a 50 overall. Ricky LaFleur was either a 46 or 48 overall heading into this season. I don't quite remember. All I know is this man dominated. 45 wins, 3 shutouts, 2,300 saves, and 2 assists in the process. He's receiving 104 attribute upgrades. A Stanley Cup might be possible in Ricky LaFleur's future. But I guess the real question is, was the future this season? Did he win a Stanley Cup this season? Unfortunately not. He actually got swept in the first round to the Winnipeg Jets, and that really shouldn't surprise me because I think the one attribute that matters the most once the playoffs come around is poise, and Ricky LaFleur does not have any poise whatsoever. So yeah, not too much is going to happen during the postseason, except he is going to receive an additional upgrade because he did pick up 141 saves, and did he have any assists? It doesn't look like it. So yeah, Ricky LaFleur is walking away with 105 attribute upgrades from this season. The sky's the limit for our man Ricky LaFleur moving forward. So I was talking about poise being one of the most important attributes once the postseason comes around. So how about we max out his poise? Ricky LaFleur, we're going to get your poise up to a 99, and then with the remaining 42 attribute upgrades we have, we're going to spend that on speed, get your speed up to an 80, and I think you're going to be looking at more than our first round exit this season. I think we could potentially see some second round action for 49 overall Ricky LaFleur. But I guess a lot of that is going to be depending on which team he joins. He's leaving the Colorado Avalanche. Each side understood they want to head their separate ways. It's no hate for the Avalanche. With Ricky LaFleur leaving though, he is going to be heading over to the Eastern Conference, and he's going to be joining the New York Islanders. They don't necessarily need a goaltender because they have Sorokin, but Ricky LaFleur wants to take over. So now that we've seen a little bit of postseason action, we know what's next for Ricky LaFleur. It's Stanley Cup or bust moving forward. I don't care if you're only a 49 overall. I know you can start seeing some postseason success. I know when the lights are the brightest, you're going to start stepping up, and that's going to have to start this season with the New York Islanders. Yes, they're not the greatest team in the world, but you're playing like a 99 overall goaltender right now, even though you're only a 49 overall. Okay, this is getting out of hand. He is a 49 overall. 54 wins this season, and he's a 49 overall. Bro had more wins than what his overall is. That might be one of the craziest stats I've ever seen. Ricky LaFleur, 54 wins, 6 shouts, a 923 and a 249, 2,400 saves this season, 2 assists. Ricky LaFleur is the GOAT. He is the greatest player of all time, and he's only a 49 overall. But I think in order to be the greatest, you do have to win a Stanley Cup, and unfortunately that's not going to be happening this season for the Islanders. They're going to be falling in the second round to the Washington Capitals, but there's still lots of time for Ricky LaFleur to win a Stanley Cup. Like, we have tons of time left in this video. Like, he's not even a 50 overall yet. He is a 49 overall, and he's accomplishing all this. When it comes to his postseason stats, he's picking up 6 wins, 2 shouts, a 919, a 283. He's going to have 356 saves in the process. No goals or assists though, but I'm not really too surprised at that. Now, after this incredible season from Ricky LaFleur, he is going to be walking away with 173 attribute upgrades. He's going to be able to max out a couple more attributes. Maybe he'll be able to win a Stanley Cup next season, but one of these days he's going to be taking one home, and I know it for a fact. Now, when it comes to Ricky LaFleur's upgrades, the first thing we're doing is maxing out speed. Let's get that up to a 99. Now, after maxing out his speed, we do have enough upgrades to max out 2 attributes. Now, I think we should focus on rebound control and get that up to a 99. I think that would be really important. And then breakaway, we might as well get that up to a 99 as well for Ricky LaFleur. He's probably been facing a handful of breakaways, and he hasn't been able to stop any of those shots, but now he's going to be able to. And then after maxing out those 2 attributes, he's going to be left with 28 points. So we're going to spend that on poke check, and we're going to get that up to a 64. So Ricky LaFleur is now looking like a superstar goaltender. He might only be a 67 overall, but who is going to score on this man? He was stopping basically every shot last season, and now he's a little bit better. Ricky LaFleur right now is the greatest 67 overall of all time. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. The way this video was trending, I was thinking this was going to be a lot more difficult, but ever since he joined the Seattle Kraken, things have completely changed for Ricky LaFleur, and with him joining the Tampa Bay Lightning next, we might finally be looking at a Stanley Cup. Now, on paper, the Tampa Bay Lightning are looking a little bit better than the New York Islanders, and if Ricky LaFleur was able to carry that team to first in the entire league last season, I think we have to be Stanley Cup favorites heading into this season. As a 67 overall, Ricky LaFleur is the best goaltender in the game. I know that doesn't make any sense, but that's just the way it is. So Ricky, you know what you have to do this season. It's Stanley Cup or bust once again. Now after the success we saw last season, a 46-31-5 record is definitely disappointing for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I was expecting we were going to see a lot more success. Apparently not. Ricky LaFleur, were you just not quite as dominant, or was the team just not scoring in front of you? I mean, your numbers look incredible. 46 wins, 5 shots, a 923 and a 251. You also had 2,400 saves and an assist this season, so I can't really complain about what you did. I just don't think the team in front of you stepped up. Meanwhile, the Edmonton Oilers are Stanley Cup champions, but what's happening to the Tampa Bay Lightning? Well, they're going to lose in the first round to the Montreal Canadiens. What has happened to Ricky LaFleur this season? Expectations were through the roof, and he has not lived up to those expectations. Only 2 wins in the postseason, but one of them was a shutout, so that's going to be some nice upgrade points, but he's only going to be receiving an additional upgrade from saves. So after this season, he's walking away with 127 attribute upgrades. I can work with that. Is it the best in the world? Absolutely not, but it could be a lot worse. Also, Ricky LaFleur lost some X factors. What happened there? Now with 127 upgrades, this is going to make things very simple. Poke check, we're going to improve that to a 65. Then after doing that, we can max out 2 attributes. So we're going to max out agility, we'll get that up to a 99. And then when it comes to another attribute, what are we looking at here? Vision probably wouldn't be bad, but how about we go with angles? Let's get angles up to a 99. And by doing that, look at Ricky LaFleur's overall climb. He's up to a 78 overall now, and now he's a serviceable enough backup in the NHL. But in reality, he's actually a superstar. Now in reality, Ricky LaFleur doesn't have too many years left in the NHL based on the progression he's been seeing, but joining the Dallas Stars, that's going to give him a chance at a cup for sure. Now Ricky LaFleur, the Dallas Stars are going to give you an amazing chance to win a Stanley Cup. Like, there is a solid team in front of you. I haven't been able to say that very often in this video, but when you have a chance to win a Stanley Cup like you do with the Dallas Stars right here, you have to seize that opportunity. I know the last few seasons have been Stanley Cup or bust, but this season emphasized that point more than ever. Now the Dallas Stars, led by Ricky LaFleur, are looking incredible this season. A 54-20-8 record, the best team in the entire league. Mikko Rantanen's going to lead the way for the Stars, but we're not too worried about that. We're just worried about Ricky LaFleur's numbers. 54 wins, 6 shots, a 920 and a 255, 2,300 saves this season, and he's also picking up 2 assists in the process. But when the games mattered most and the lights were the brightest, Ricky LaFleur, what were you able to do? Well, you were able to lead this team all the way to the Stanley Cup final. Unfortunately though, you didn't lead them to a Stanley Cup victory because the Dallas Stars are going to be falling to the Toronto Maple Leafs in a 7-game series. When Ricky LaFleur finally had a chance at winning a Stanley Cup, he's going to collapse in Game 7. It's an absolute heartbreaker. Meanwhile, Ricky LaFleur, the numbers just weren't there. 15 wins, 1 shutout, a 903 and a 318. I need better numbers than this. If we really want to win ourselves a Stanley Cup, you can't be posting a 903 and a 318. But you know what? I don't think we're going to have to worry about those numbers next season, because through this season, regular season and playoffs, Ricky LaFleur is going to be receiving 177 attribute upgrades. We're going to be able to max out a handful of attributes, and we're probably going to be able to get Ricky LaFleur up to at least an 85 overall. Now with 177 attribute upgrades, we can max out 2 attributes, and then we'll be left with a little bit more. So what we're going to do is vision. We're going to get that up to a 99, and then after that, I think we're going to get passing up to a 99 as well. Now after maxing out these 2 attributes, we're going to be left with 51, and we're going to use some of them on his poke check. So 34 attribute upgrades are going to be used on his poke check, and then we're going to be left with 17. With those remaining 17, we're just going to use that on his recover, and that's going to get that up to a 53. So Ricky LaFleur is now an 84 overall. His overall can now match some of the other goaltenders in the league. However, he doesn't have regular 84 overall stats. He might have some zeros, but he has a lot of 99s. So Ricky LaFleur, time is winding down for you to win another Stanley Cup. You weren't able to do it with the Dallas Stars, so maybe, just maybe, you can do it with the Utah Mammoth. However, based on what I've seen in the past, you're not going to have any success with Utah. If you know, you know. So Ricky LaFleur, as an 84 overall, you're the number 1 for the Utah Mammoth. They named you the number 1 goaltender this season. I didn't have to make you the number 1 guy. Utah believes in you. However, that is probably a mistake, because I have watched this team a handful of times in NHL 26, and even Ricky LaFleur has witnessed this team at their very best in NHL 26. Safe to say, I have some concerns heading into this season. Now, in Ricky LaFleur's return to Utah, he did what he could with this franchise. 11th in the entire league, a 43-30-9 record. They were nothing special. special. When it comes to the regular season, Clayton Keller's going to lead the way with 80 points, and then Ricky LaFleur, the numbers weren't great by any means. 43 wins, 3 shouts, a 907 and a 302, but who cares about the regular season? The postseason is where it matters, and in Ricky LaFleur's return to Utah, they're Stanley Cup champions. Ricky was dominating from game 1 until game 16. In all of the victories, he was that guy, and that shows in his postseason numbers. 16 wins, 5 losses, 1 shout, a 914 and a goals against of 2 exactly. Ricky LaFleur was that man. When the lights were the brightest, he stepped up, and because of that, the Utah Mammoth are Stanley Cup champions. But on top of Utah being Stanley Cup champions, the job is not done for our man Ricky LaFleur. He's receiving 131 attribute upgrades. We still need to get this man back to a 99 overall. So with the 131 attribute upgrades we received, we can max out 2 attributes. The first one's going to be endurance. We're going to get that all the way up to a 99, and through doing that, Ricky LaFleur is now up to an 88 overall. And then when it comes to the next attribute we're going to upgrade, I think we're going to go with durability. We'll get that all the way up to a 99, and through doing that, Ricky LaFleur has finally reached the 90 overall club. He's going to be sitting at 91 overall, but we're still not done. Now we're left with 5 attribute upgrades, so we're just going to throw that on recover, and through doing that, Ricky LaFleur a 92 overall, arguably the best goaltender in the league, coming off a Stanley Cup, but he wants to repeat next season, but this time with a different team. So which team is Ricky LaFleur going to be able to win his second Stanley Cup with? The Vegas Golden Knights would be a great team, but instead he's going to be heading to the Calgary Flames. That's certainly not going to be easy. Now Ricky LaFleur just isn't satisfied with only one Stanley Cup. He wants to bring another one home, and it's going to be pretty difficult with the Calgary Flames. However, Ricky's the best goaltender in the league, but if he can win a Stanley Cup with the Utah Mammoth, I think he can win with any team. Now that's not really a shot towards the Utah Mammoth. Some of y'all just don't understand the love-hate relationship between Ricky LaFleur and the Utah Mammoth. Let me just say they've been through some dark times together. Now Ricky LaFleur would help the Calgary Flames make the playoffs, but they were not a good team by any means. 17th in the entire league, a 42, 34, and 6 record. Yeah, they just weren't great. Plain and simple, there was no offense from this team. Ricky LaFleur really couldn't do too much. 42 wins, 4 shouts, 2,500 saves. Did he have any assists? It looks like he had 1 assist this season, but that doesn't really mean too much. When the postseason came around, it's no surprise the Calgary Flames are falling early. They're going to be swept to the LA Kings. I don't think this is really shocking to anybody. Like, this team clearly wasn't ready for the bright lights. Ricky LaFleur did what he could, but he really didn't do too much. 144 saves, that's going to be 1 attribute upgrade, and that's all he's going to receive from the postseason. Now, unfortunately, due to this lackluster season with the Calgary Flames, Ricky LaFleur is only going to be receiving 111 upgrades, and I don't think that's enough to max him out to a 99, so we might have 2 more seasons left. So here's what all these upgrades are going to mean for Ricky LaFleur. The first thing we're doing is maxing out his recover. After we do that, we're going to be able to max out another attribute. Now, what is that attribute going to be? I think we're going to go with aggressiveness. We're going to get that up to a 99, and I guess that's going to get Ricky LaFleur up to a 99 as well, because puck playing frequency, I don't really count that as an attribute. Like, if anything, this is realistically just a tendency. It's the equivalent of your pass shoot bias. So if this is at a 99, that means Ricky LaFleur is going to play the puck a lot more. If it's at a 36, he's not going to play the puck at all. I'm not really sure why they have it classified as an attribute. That doesn't really make too much sense to me. Like, same with consistency, I'm assuming this is a tendency more than an attribute. That's why I've always had it 2 out of 2 the entire video. So technically, Ricky LaFleur is back in his prime. He's back up to a 99 overall. He's in his peak form, but there's only one more thing for him to do: win 1 more Stanley Cup. So let's go ahead and spin the wheel one last time. Where is Ricky LaFleur going to be playing his final season? In San Jose. San Jose might not have the greatest team around Ricky LaFleur, but he's a 99 overall, perfect in every aspect of the game. Let's see if Ricky LaFleur can pull off one more miracle and lead this team to a Stanley Cup. So here we go. It's the final season for Ricky LaFleur. He's back into his prime, a 99 overall, high franchise potential. He's an elite goaltender in the league. He's looking to win 1 more Stanley Cup. He was able to win with Utah, but now he's joining a different team, the San Jose Sharks, led by Macklin Celebrini, William Eklund, Will Smith, Tyler Toffoli, but of course the main guy leading this team, of course, is going to be Ricky LaFleur. Now, is he going to be able to win a Stanley Cup with this team? I'm not 100% sure. Like, we do have to remember, this is going to be his most difficult task by far, because who does he have in front of him when it comes to the defense? Nick Leddy and Vinny Desharnais. With these 2 guys as their third pairing, I can't imagine this team seeing any success. So Ricky LaFleur, if you do somehow win a Stanley Cup this season, it'll be the most historic moment in NHL history. Now, Ricky LaFleur, the expectations were Stanley Cup or bust. It was a massive bust. 27th in the entire league, you didn't even make the playoffs. Ricky LaFleur, as a 99 overall, couldn't save this San Jose Sharks team, and there is a clear reason why he couldn't save this San Jose Sharks team. His name is Nick Leddy, and his name is Vinny Desharnais. They are the reasons. I don't care if Dmitry Orlov was minus 16, and I don't care if Logren was minus 16, and I don't care that Nick Leddy and Desharnais both had positive plus minuses. They are the reason we didn't win a Stanley Cup. Ricky LaFleur as the perfect player. 38 wins, 4 shutouts, a 913, a goals against a 3 exactly, 2,400 saves made this season, and then when it comes to goals and assists, he's not picking up any of those. But Ricky LaFleur, you began as a 0 overall player. You had been struck with a ton of injuries, and there was people that didn't believe you would be able to come back from those injuries. But here we are. You're back as a 99 overall. You're a Stanley Cup champion once again. People doubted you, but you proved them all wrong. You got back to your greatness, and you're back to being the greatest goaltender of all time once again.